Hey folks, it's Nate, and it's time I got back to the drawing board, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about the Joker. Now, I know people have already talked a lot about the movie and why it's good, why it's not good, why it's controversial, just about everything you could think of. And I'm really not interested in adding to most of those conversations. Instead, I want to talk about why the Joker really seems to resonate with people. It is kind of odd, you have this really dark movie that's basically about a terrible person, a hopeless person, a person who's not going anywhere with his life, a person who can't seem to get things together, and yet people are drawn to it. So, what is it that makes The Joker such a fascinating film? Why are people drawn to it? Why do they seem to love it so much? Why are people going to see it two, three, four times? Um, and I think I have an answer, and I think it's not just the movie itself, not just the performances in it. Although these are factors, the script, Joaquin Phoenix's performance, um, the production values, the strength of the writing and cinematography. These are all aspects of why people love it, but I don't think they're the core of it. And I think the core is because the Joker presents truth. It presents a really hard reality in a way that we can get a hold of, that is easy for us to understand and wrestle with. The truth it presents is, of course, that there are very ill people among us, the mentally ill, like Arthur Fleck, and we don't typically, our society does not help them as much as it could. Um, and it raises a lot of questions about how we could do that, how we respond to these people when our society is failing them. There's a lot of questions in there, the questions of violence and things like that. It also speaks truth about you know rioters and discontent and mass demonstrations. These are not necessarily good or positive things. In fact, they can be quite destructive. They can be quite violent. They can be quite evil. And the movie presents that truth unflinchingly and in a way which, let's be honest, a lot of our media currently does not. And I think that's part of why the film is so successful. It presents these hard truths to us, and it doesn't shy away from them or what the consequences of them. It doesn't try and sugarcoat them or tell us that these things are okay. Um, it gives us truth, and human beings are drawn to truth. We won't necessarily like truth. There's very little um, to like about the situation the Joker presents us with. There's very little that is good or uplifting in that film. And I don't think that's necessarily an inherently bad thing. Um, well, I'll get to that. I do have some real thoughts on that. But let's stick for now to the presentation of truth. Um, the Joker shows us the bad side of basically every facet of human society. It shows us the bad side of mothers in the form of Arthur Fleck's abusive and delusional mother. It shows us the bad side of politics in the forms of, Thomas Wayne, and it shows us the bad side of entertainment um, in the form of Robert De Niro's character, whose name escapes me. Um, so it's very thorough in showing us these truths, and we recognize these truths in the world around us, so we also acknowledge them in the film. Um, at the same time, Joker's not telling the whole truth, and this is one of my problems with the film, and most films like it. It presents this very nihilistic character, and it never rebuts that nihilism. It's more interested with how he became a nihilist, uh, than it is with the full truth of the human condition. Because the fact is, Joker does very little, almost nothing, to show um, the positive side of the human experience. It doesn't show human altruism very much. Maybe a little bit in Arthur Fleck's performing at the hospital, and is trying to entertain a child on the bus. Um, in perhaps his characterizing the midget that he worked with as a good guy, although we don't really see a whole lot of that. It's something we're told about, and given how uh, deranged Arthur Fleck is, I'm not sure we can take that characterization at face value. He could just be remembering this midget much like he remembered um, his quote unquote girlfriend. So yeah, I do kind of object to the film not showing the whole truth of the human experience, leaving out altruism, leaving out compassion, leaving out kindness. Um, it also doesn't tell the truth about, how we can help one another. It doesn't, when Arthur has his medication cut off, I mean, he's done. There's nothing else for him to do. His social worker doesn't point him towards charities. She doesn't, there are other ways to get help than the government. And it doesn't show those. And that's partly because it's about a man hitting rock bottom. So fair enough. But it does kind of annoy me that it's not completely true. Um, it doesn't fully reflect the human experience. And I think that there is a praiseworthy reason for that. I think the creators, part of their message is that we have to go out and fill the void that the story leaves. Nobody does good things for Arthur. Nobody shows him kindness. Nobody shows him compassion. And part of the message I think the creators wanted us to take away was that we have to be the people who show people like Arthur compassion. I think that's a very good message. It's a very worthy message. I just don't know if a film that is so ruthless with the truth in all other aspects can get away with leaving out that aspect of the truth, that aspect of the human experience. It's very difficult when you're making one of these stories that is so honest, so straightforward, so unvarnished with what it presents you about the world around it, the world that it's telling us we live in. If it missteps in any one way, it is a very glaring and very obvious case. And when you have um, such a clear attempt to provoke a reaction from the audience, um, so clearly saying, if you don't if you don't go out and fix this problem, no one will. It almost Joker almost feels more like a parable, a morality tale, than a conventional story. And one of my problems with, um, especially a film-length parable, is that storytelling. Let's back up a step. Storytelling, all stories really want to provoke an emotional reaction from you, whether it's um, joy or uh, sorrow or contentment. They are all going for an emotional reaction. The storyteller controls all aspects of the story, and a good storyteller works all of those aspects together to provoke the emotional reaction they want from you. A great storyteller does it in such a way that you don't realize they've done it. And my problem with Joker and many other of these strongly nihilistic movies is that by leaving out parts of the true human experience, they make it very clear that they are trying to manipulate the audience to a specific emotional reaction by leaving out those aspects, whether that's a worthy emotional reaction, like I believe Joker ultimately has behind it, an emotional reaction of, you need to go out and be good to your fellow men. It still loses a little bit of the impact because I feel that it's having that one shortcoming, that one moment of dishonesty in how it presents the human experience to us, I feel like weakens and makes obvious the reaction is attempting to get from us. This doesn't make Todd Phillips or anyone who wrote the film bad people or in any way dishonest about the film they were making. I just think it makes their film a little bit weaker overall as a story. But clearly, a lot of people are able to accept that as part of the experience, and they are loving and enjoying this film nonetheless. More power to them. I think obviously Joaquin Phoenix deserves every bit of praise he gets for it. I think that, of course, all the political crosstalk about this movie is nuts. I mean, really at this point, I'm just saying what other people have said. And it's really not what I wanted to do with this video. I wanted to talk about why The Joker is a true film and why I believe that's part of its appeal. And I've said all that. So that's all I really have for you tonight. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, leave a like down below or a comment. Tell me what you thought about the video, and I'll talk to you later.